The smell hit me first, rich, warm, and unmistakably fresh. Eggs. Not just any eggs. Mine. Pulled right from my chicken coop. I didn't have to see the mess to know something was wrong. Henrietta was already raising hell, her wings flapping, feathers flying everywhere. She was squawking like someone had stolen her life's work. And someone had. There she was. Karen. Of course it was Karen, bent over my nesting boxes like she belonged there, snatching eggs one by one with the focus of a jewel thief. She wasn't even trying to hide it. No sneaking around, no guilt. Just brazen as ever, shoving my eggs into that ridiculous handbag she carries around, probably paid way too much for it. And here she was, stuffing it like she had a buy one get one free deal. Karen, I barked, stomping toward her. My boots crunched on the gravel, but she didn't even flinch, didn't even act surprised. She just turned around slow, that smug grin plastered on her face, like she'd been waiting for me to show up. "Oh, hey, didn't see you there," she said, cheerful as can be, like we were old friends catching up instead of her being elbow deep in my chicken coop. "Didn't see me?" I shot back, pointing at the fence line she had so obviously ignored. "You're in my backyard." She gave this dramatic sigh, like I was the problem. Then she hugged those eggs close like they were her babies. "Look," she said, "eggs are a natural thing. Your chickens don't technically own them. Nature is meant to be shared, right?" I stared at her. Did she actually believe that? Was this some twisted version of enlightenment, or was she just full of it? I shook my head. "Karen, you climbed my fence. You snuck into my yard. You're stealing. You don't see the problem?" She rolled her eyes so hard I was pretty sure she saw her brain for a second. "Oh, please, you've got plenty. It's not like you need all these. What are you, hoarding eggs like some kind of farm dragon?" And there it was. That tone. Like I was crazy for wanting to keep what was mine. Like I should feel guilty for having something she wanted. But this was personal. She wasn't stealing lemons off my tree this time, or that bag of sugar from my porch last month, or my Amazon package the time before that. No, this was different. My chickens are my pride. Henrietta, Gertrude, Penny, their family. And those eggs, that's their hard work, not Karen's next brunch. "I work hard for these," I said, keeping my voice steady, though my fists clenched tight. "My chickens work hard for these. If you want eggs, Karen, get your own chickens." She laughed, waved me off like I was talking nonsense. "Too much work. Anyway, I've got to run. Brunch plans. You wouldn't get it." And just like that, she hopped the fence, eggs in tow, strolling back to her house like she hadn't just robbed me blind in broad daylight. I stood there fuming, watching her walk away like nothing had happened. That was it. That was the last time. She wasn't turning my backyard into her personal grocery store anymore. No more free rides. Karen wanted eggs. She was about to get them. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at a basket of fresh eggs, turning over an idea in my mind. Something petty, something perfect, something that screamed karma. I picked up my phone and called Jake, my best friend, my partner in crime, and fellow victim of Karen's nonsense. "How bad do rotten eggs smell?" I asked. There was a pause. Then Jake chuckled, low and slow. "Bad enough you're up to something." "I need a favor," I said, already grinning. By morning, the plan was rolling. Jake came through with a batch of eggs that had been sitting long enough to clear out a house. Week-old, borderline hazardous waste. The kind of eggs that make you question the meaning of life after one whiff. We swapped them into the nesting boxes, nice and neat, exactly where Karen liked to go treasure hunting. Then we waited. Didn't take long. Just before noon, I caught movement from the kitchen window. Like clockwork, Karen was back, moving through my yard with all the grace of a raccoon who thinks it's being clever. She zeroed in on the nesting box, reached in without a second thought and loaded up. Didn't even look. Just stuffed them into that overpriced bag like she was picking out pastries at a farmer's market. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. This was going to be good. Later that evening, it started. A scream tore through the quiet neighborhood, shrill and panicked, followed by the crash of something shattering. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the group chat. Karen was typing in all caps, of course. "Who did this? The eggs were rotten. My kitchen smells like a dumpster fire. My guests are traumatized. I sat back sipping my tea. Oh, it had begun. Jake was first to reply. Wait, you mean the eggs you stole? And the chat? It exploded. Laughing emojis, jokes about karma, a few people cheering. Karen tried to defend herself, saying she had permission. She didn't. Claimed she didn't know. She did. But it was too late. Everyone knew exactly what had happened. Her brunch, ruined. Her house, contaminated. Her reputation, shredded. And me, I was loving every second of it. That scream earlier, that was the sound of karma punching a ticket. I was sitting at my kitchen counter, watching it all unfold on my phone, like it was the season finale of a reality show. Karen was spiraling, fast, messages flying in, accusations, threats, wild claims about how someone had poisoned her eggs. She even said her house smelled like a sewer explosion. Jake fired off a casual LOL, which only made her more unhinged. She was threatening lawsuits, demanding an investigation, rambling about how her entire brunch party had to leave because the stench made them gag. I could only imagine the chaos inside her house. Rotten eggs aren't just smelly, they're apocalyptic. The sulfur, the rot. It doesn't just stay in the kitchen. It creeps into the walls, clings to everything. It's the kind of stink you have to move out to escape. And Karen? She didn't just grab one egg. She took enough to ensure that the stench wasn't leaving anytime soon. After a few minutes, Karen's frantic messages stopped. Then I saw her, storming out of her house like a tornado in designer shoes, hair wild, face red. She looked like she'd just survived a war zone. Her brunch outfit was a mess. What was left of it anyway? I stepped outside, coffee in hand, playing it cool as she marched right toward me. You! She shrieked, jabbing a perfectly manicured finger at me. What did you do to my eggs? I blinked, tilted my head, pretending I had no idea what she was talking about. Your eggs! Her face twisted. Don't play dumb. They were rotten. I cracked them open, and the smell... She gagged, just from the memory. It won't go away. My house is ruined. I took another sip. Huh, that's weird. Those eggs came from my chickens. Same ones you keep stealing from. Maybe they just decided to go bad on purpose. Her eye twitched. She was practically vibrating with rage. You did this on purpose. Did I? I said, raising an eyebrow. Or did nature handle it for me? She was about to explode again when Jake wandered over, hands in his pockets, grin wide as a billboard. So let me get this straight, he said. You stole someone's eggs. They weren't what you wanted. And now you're mad? Karen whirled on him, furious. Stay out of this. Jake just laughed. Oh no, I live for this. She knew she was outnumbered, outmatched. The anger was still there, but I could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. She was trying to find a way to spin this, to win. So she switched gears, straightened her back, flipped her frazzled hair, tried to sound noble. Fine, she said through clenched teeth. Maybe I borrowed a few eggs, but you set me up. You humiliated me. The whole neighborhood's laughing at me. I shrugged. Seems fair. You've been stealing from me for months. Actions have consequences. She opened her mouth, probably to throw some dramatic threat my way. But before she could say anything, I noticed something. People were watching, neighbors out on their porches, pretending to water plants, peeking through curtains, listening. Karen's audience was bigger than she realized, and she hated it. So she tried one last pity play, put a hand on her forehead. I could have gotten sick, she wailed. What if I got food poisoning? What if I ended up in the hospital? Do you have any idea the trauma this caused? Jake let out a low whistle. Wow, so brave. I grinned. You should air out your house, Karen. That smell's going to linger for a week. Easy. Karen's face was beet red. She knew she lost. Completely. Utterly. She turned, stomped away, muttering under her breath, and slammed her front door so hard the window shook. Jake and I exchanged a look. A silent, satisfied we did it kind of look. She's not going to let this go, Jake said. I nodded. I know. Karen wasn't one to admit defeat. She'd come back with something. But for now, we had won, and I was going to enjoy it. I figured Karen would lay low for a while, lick her wounds, maybe avoid the neighbors until the shame wore off. But that wasn't Karen. No, when Karen lost, she didn't take the L quietly. She plotted, she schemed, and right on schedule, she came crawling back with a brand new disaster. It was the next day, bright and early. I was out collecting eggs, real eggs this time, fresh and untainted, when I noticed something strange at the end of my driveway. Karen, of course, she was dragging out a folding table, some crates, and what looked like a cardboard sign. She moved with this weird mix of purpose and pettiness, like she was trying to prove something. I shaded my eyes against the sun, trying to figure out what exactly she was up to. Jake was with me again, leaning against my fence, coffee in hand. He followed my gaze, squinting. What in the... I have no idea, I said, but I had a bad feeling. By the time we wandered closer, Karen was already in full salesman mode. She had set up a stand. Right there, on the curb. And not just any stand. She was selling eggs. My eggs. Or at least she thought they were. There was a crooked sign hanging off the table, scrawled in messy block letters. Fresh organic eggs, best in town. I stared at her. She was waving down passing neighbors like this was some quaint farmer's market, smiling wide like she was doing everyone a favor. Get your farm fresh eggs here. Organic, free range, collected by hand. She added that last part like it was supposed to seal the deal. Jake let out a low whistle. Wow, bold move. I shook my head, partly in disbelief, partly out of admiration for her sheer audacity. Karen had no shame. None. Zero. It was like she lived in her own little world where stealing eggs and then selling them back to the same people you stole them from made perfect sense. I strolled over casually, watching her work. Mrs. Porter was already hovering nearby, eyeing the basket of eggs suspiciously. She picked one up, gave it a sniff, and frowned. These look different. Karen was ready. Oh, that's how you know they're real. Authentic farm eggs aren't all shiny and perfect like grocery store ones. These have character. Mrs. Porter didn't look convinced, but Karen was on a roll. She was talking fast, laying it on thick. My chickens are free range, totally organic. Happy chickens lay the best eggs. I couldn't hold back anymore. Funny, I said, leaning an elbow on the edge of her table. Didn't know you had chickens, Karen. She stiffened. Didn't skip a beat, though. I don't. But I've partnered with a local supplier. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? You mean me? Her jaw clenched. Number someone else. Jake snorted behind me. I could feel the neighbors perking up, the ones who'd wandered over to see the commotion. This was better than TV. Karen plowed ahead. These eggs are from a very exclusive source. That's when I noticed something. The eggs in her basket? They were the same ones she'd swiped before. Not the fresh ones, but the leftovers. The bottom of the pile eggs I hadn't gotten around to tossing. Still sketchy, still old enough to be questionable. I glanced at Jake, who was already grinning. You think she tested those before selling them? He whispered. Doubt it, I said. Mrs. Porter gave one last skeptical sniff and backed away. Smells a little off, she muttered. She set the egg down like it might explode. Karen laughed it off. That's just how farm eggs smell. Pure nature. I almost felt bad. Almost. Another neighbor approached, curious, picked up an egg, turned it over in his hand. I leaned in, smiling. You might want to be careful. Some of those eggs have been sitting for a while. Karen shot me a look that could curdle milk. What are you doing? She hissed under her breath. Helping, I said sweetly. You wouldn't want to sell anyone bad eggs, would you? Her nostrils flared. She was about to say something nasty when fate stepped in. And when fate steps in around Karen, it doesn't mess around. One of the eggs, whether by bad luck or karma, cracked. Right in the guy's hand. A soft pop as the shell gave way, followed by the unmistakable sound of something wet and wrong squishing out. And then the smell hit. It was immediate, violent, like something had died, come back to life, and died again out of spite. The poor man gagged, dropping the egg like it was on fire. A thick, yellow sludge oozed out, puddling on the pavement. It smoked a little in the sun. The reaction was instant. People backed away fast, hands over their noses, faces twisted in horror. Karen shrieked, "Oh my God, what?" She stumbled back, tripping over the leg of her folding table. The basket of eggs tipped, rolling off the side in slow motion. They hit the ground one after another, cracking open and unleashing a stench so foul it made my eyes water from 6 feet away. Jake doubled over, laughing. "Oh no," he managed through wheezing breaths. "Oh no, no, no." Karen was gagging now, dry heaving as she tried to wave away the stink, but it was everywhere. Soaked into her clothes, her skin, her hair. She looked like she wanted to crawl out of her own body. "It's not my fault," she cried. "I didn't know. Someone sabotaged me." I folded my arms. "Oh, so you admit they weren't your eggs?" Her head snapped toward me. Wild eyes. "You set me up." "Karen," I said calmly, "you stole them. You've been stealing them for weeks. You said yourself, nature should be shared." Her mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. She looked around, desperate for support, but the crowd wasn't on her side. They'd seen everything. They knew. Mrs. Porter muttered something about karma. Another neighbor nodded in agreement. Whispers spread. Karen's face turned an even deeper shade of red as the realization sank in. There was no spinning this. Defeated, humiliated, and reeking of rotten eggs, Karen did the only thing she had left. She ran, stumbled away from the table, nearly tripping over her own feet, and bolted back to her house, slamming the door so hard I swear I saw a bird fly out of her chimney. Jake and I stood there for a second, letting the silence settle. "That," he said finally, "was beautiful." "Legendary," I agreed. The smell took a while to clear, but the memory, that stuck around much longer. For days afterward, the neighborhood buzzed with the story. Karen and her rotting egg stand became local folklore almost overnight. Kids on bikes rode by her house, daring each other to knock on the door. Someone even made a meme out of it in the group chat, captioned, "When you steal eggs but get scrambled instead." As for Karen, she went quiet for a while, probably licking her wounds. But I knew better than to think it was over. Karen wasn't the type to learn the first time around. She was stubborn. She was relentless. And sure enough, a few days later, I got the message. It popped up on my phone, plain as day. "You'll regret this." I stared at it for a second, sighed, and locked my phone. Karen was like a storm cloud that refused to move on, always hanging around, always ready to rain on somebody's parade. But this time, I was ready. The next morning, I checked my fence line. Karen hadn't tried sneaking in again. Not yet. But I noticed something new. A bunch of little garden gnomes set up along her lawn. At first, I thought she was just being weird. But then I realized they were facing my house. All of them. Tiny little painted eyes staring right at me. I shook my head. "Real subtle, Karen." Jake thought it was hilarious. "Gnome warfare," he said. "Didn't see that coming." Neither did I. But I wasn't worried. If Karen wanted to play games, I had time, and patience, and chickens. Days passed, then a week. No eggs went missing, no mysterious footprints by the coop. Karen stayed quiet. Too quiet. Then it happened. I woke up one morning to a noise. Not Henrietta squawking this time. No, this was different. Weird clanging sounds coming from the side of the house. I grabbed my boots and headed out, half expecting to find Karen up to something. I was wrong. It was a drone, hovering there, buzzing like a mechanical hornet. And hanging from it, a tiny basket. Inside the basket, an egg. I stared at it, stunned. The drone zipped forward, dropping the egg neatly onto my porch before zooming back toward Karen's house. Jake saw it too. "You've got to be kidding me." An hour later, another drone. This time with 2 eggs. Same deal. Drop, zip, gone. Karen had automated her egg thievery. "She's serious," Jake said, shaking his head. I wasn't mad. Honestly, I was impressed. But impressed or not, I wasn't letting it go. I had a coop full of chickens and a brain full of bad ideas. So I got to work. By the end of the day, I had my own little counterattack ready. Nothing harmful, just educational. A basket of eggs filled with glitter, some stuffed with confetti, a couple packed with non-toxic dye that exploded on impact. I set them out nice and easy, right where Karen's drones could find them. The next morning, payoff. One of her drones snagged a glitter egg, dropped it on her porch. Seconds later, poof, a cloud of sparkles covered everything. The drone, her front steps, Karen herself when she came out screaming. By the time the dye eggs hit, she was too late. Her front yard looked like a unicorn sneezed on it. And the best part? The neighborhood loved it. Jake filmed the whole thing. Mrs. Porter sent me a thumbs-up emoji. Even the mailman gave me a nod of approval. Karen, she was done. For real this time. Weeks passed. No more eggs went missing. No more drones. No more garden gnomes. Karen kept to herself, her yard cleaned up, her porch scrubbed clean. But every now and then, I'd catch her looking at my chickens from her window. I'd wave. She never waved back. And me? I kept collecting eggs, fresh ones, safe ones, but I always set a few special ones aside, just in case.